You should see a little red X down there.
Okay, now you can.
Yeah.
Miss Joey.
Okay. All right.
Joy.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. How are you today?
I'm good. I
Yeah.
hear you got a birthday tomorrow.
Maybe.
Okay.
How old are you going to be?
29.
That's right.
49?
Do we start the meeting now?
Yes, it's ready. It's right on the dot, 5 o'clock.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Let me, as we've been suggested to do, I know you all have heard it many be the times, but let me read the statement that KSBA has recommended that we read. At this time, and given the extraordinary circumstances public agencies are confronting, it is not feasible under KRS 61.840 to precisely identify a primary physical location for a video teleconference at which the public may attend and view a public meeting conducted through video teleconference under the Open Meetings Act. Instead, because of public health necessity of imposing social distancing to help stop the spread of COVID-19, a public agency should precisely identify a website, television station, or other technological means by which the public may view a meeting conducted under this act until the conclusion of the state of emergency. This meeting can be viewed live at www.youtube.com/user/FORDMICH1. During the public comment portion of the agenda, individuals can ask questions via the chat feature on YouTube or by calling 270-343-3191. Now, go on to roll call, Ms. Wicker.
Yes, please.
Roll call. This action is taken by calling each board member's name with the board member answering present. Mr. Murray.
Present.
Mrs. Wilson.
Present.
Mrs. Hickenbotham.
Present.
Mr. Kazook.
Present.
And Ms. Wicker.
Present.
Before we get started, Michael, is Mr. Poston supposed to be with us? I see his name, but there's no picture.
Yes, I was going to go to him. Can you hear us, Mr. Poston?
I can hear you all. I don't know what the deal is with a picture though.
You might see a little red X on your video part if you're looking at your screen. There you go.
Okay, now.
Yeah, there you go. We can defer to you after we adopt the agenda, Mr. Poston.
That'll be fine, Mr. Ford.
Okay, I'm going to have to ask. I can't get the agenda up here right away, but we need to vote on adopting the agenda.
I make a motion to adopt the agenda. Approval agenda.
I'll second.
Vote.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazook,
Yes.
and Ms. Wicker.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Did you want to go ahead, Mr. Ford? And
Yeah, of course, we were very blessed here in Russell County with the Sheriff's Office and the awarding of their COPS grant. And Mr. Sheriff Poston just would like to say a few words regarding the grant and the partnership here with the school district. Of course, the MOU is on the agenda under the contracts and memorandums of agreement. Mr. Hoover's had it for several days. I think the day I got it, I sent it to him for review. So, Mr. Poston.
First of all, I want to appreciate everything that you all did to help us attain this grant. We appreciate each and every one of you all. I appreciate the fiscal court who helped us apply for this. I appreciate Susan Melton for the hard work that she's put into all this. She has been such a blessing to the department on these grants and stuff. And when I ran for sheriff, it was one of my main objectives was to get school resource officers, and especially Salem School and Russell Springs. And I hope we can also get one for Jamestown before this grant, things totally, the federal government do away with it. So I can't tell you how proud that I am to be a part of that team with you all to help protect our kids and the school staff and everybody in Russell County. I appreciate you all so much.
Thank you.
thank you.
I know we feel the same way about you, Mr. Poston. We feel blessed as well. I had emailed Susan, as she may have told you, because I wanted to verify that amount, that I wasn't dreaming, that 2 officers for 3 years for $46,000, and she assured me that was accurate. You know, that was the right amount. So that's that's just a blessing to have that 2 additional officers. Do you want to speak? Because I told you, like this morning, some people have asked me maybe why Russell Springs and Salem were chosen for this first round versus Jamestown. Of course, you and I know that, the proximity, but I thought you may want to speak to that as well, and I'll be happy to chime in too.
Okay. Well, the one of the main reasons is Salem, especially. I'll start with Salem, being so far out of the incorporated city limits of either Russell Springs or Jamestown. And that being the farthest school away, it takes us so long to respond to an emergency type situation at that school. So I felt like that school in particular would be the first school for a school resource officer if we only got one, and or Russell Springs would be the next one, since it's still out of the limits technically of Russell Springs, even though they go up 127. And it would take a few minutes for them to get there too. So those 2 schools in particular was on my main priority list to get school resource officers there first. Of course, Jamestown is right there in the city limits of Jamestown, and you've got the Jamestown Police Department and you've got the Russell County Sheriff's Department all right there beside it. So, you know, I felt like the priority schools, at least for this first round, need to be Salem and Russell Springs. And like I said, when we apply for the next round of grant, we'll apply also for Jamestown to have one as well.
And I see that reasoning. I agree with that reasoning as well. So we appreciate everything that you all have done, and I'll acknowledge Ms. Melton too. And when it comes to that grant writing, to get that again, to have 2 additional school resource officers for our schools, especially for that amount and during these lean financial times, is just a win-win for everybody. So thank you and your department, Sheriff.
Well, we appreciate you all. Did somebody say something? I thought somebody may have asked a question or something, like Mr. Ford.
I said I figured that was the reason that Jamestown didn't get one, because they're so close to town.
Yeah.
Well, we hope on this, you know, if it comes available again, we hope it, which it will. Of course, you know, the COPS grant had been offered for several years. You know, they'd put money, I think, for like drugs and stuff like that for other things. But, you know, we hope when it comes available, and we hope and pray that it comes available again, that we will be able to apply and, like I said, get one in Jamestown. That way all the schools would be covered, you know, especially with school resource officers. And, you know, that's one of my primary focuses, protecting, you know, children, grandchildren, and the staff of Russell County school system.
Yeah, sounds good.
I
we
was
appreciate
worried about
you
that
all.
too.
I appreciate you all so much and the help that you all did with it. Of course, you know, some of the requirements, I'm going to kind of touch on this real quick. I know you all have got other business to do. You know, technically, you know, what the stipulation of the grant is to have a minimum of 2 years experience as a successful law enforcement officer, be 21 years of age, have either a college or degree or coursework. And of course, veterans will receive first preference on that. That was part of the grant stipulation as well when we applied for it. So that's kind of some of the stipulations. I know you all probably have asked people ask you about, you know, they'd like to do it too, but that's just kind of some of the regulations and the stipulation that we have to go by too, as when we apply and, you know, do interviews and everything like that, you know.
While we have Sheriff Poston, anybody else have any questions or comments regarding the COPS grant?
I think just tell Derek, I think he knows we all appreciate what he's doing. And I think we all realize his choices we put them, which is the #1 choices, because the response time is so much greater. And I'm like him. I hope maybe we can get one for Jamestown, but Jamestown's pretty well surrounded. We're pretty good. We're pretty safe, but you can't be too safe. And, you know, I think Derek, no, he's just like the rest of us. We're here for our kids. They're a priority, and whatever we can do for them is automatically applies. Thank you, Derek.
Appreciate you, Gerald.
Thank you.
Appreciate all of you, and God bless all y'all. Like I said, if y'all have any questions at all, feel free to call the sheriff's office, ask for me or anytime you all ever need anything. And I mean that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff Fulton. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, Derek.
Appreciate you all. Appreciate you all very much. Y'all want me to go ahead and leave, Mr. Ford? I can go ahead and leave.
That's
if you need me
fine.
to.
It's an open meeting. You can stay on or you can leave. It's up to you.
I'll just stay on there for a few minutes then. How's that?
Okay.
That's fine. That's fine.
Okay, do we want to just go on with the agenda?
Yeah, the number 5.
Okay. The consent agenda items.
We have the approval of the previous meeting minutes, payment of bills out of state and overnight trips, construction funds, and the treasurer's monthly report for May of 2020. I've got that here. I'm going to read aloud. Russell County Board of Education Treasurer's monthly report, month of May 2020. Balance on hand at the beginning of the month, $10,193,605.71. Total of all receipts for the month, $1,700,775.07. Total of all receipts and beginning balance, $11,894,380.78, and disbursements, $2,840,627.43. Balance at the close of the month, the cash in bank is $9,053,753.35. The fund balances, general fund, Fund 1, $5,452,129.45. Special projects, Fund 2, negative at $59,254.23. District activity, Fund 21, $1,588.54. Capital outlay, Fund 310, $270,783 even. FSBK building fund 320, $167,950.43. Construction fund 360, $3,034,204.89. Debt service fund 400, negative $253,712.51. And food service fund 51, $435,986.08. And fiduciary fund 7,000, $4,077.70. And as we've mentioned before, oftentimes, you see a Fund 2 with a negative balance where we expend the money first and then we get the reimbursement. Oftentimes that lags. And then on the debt service, the general fund, to move that over on the journal entry to pay that on the debt service. So we've got a good, healthy fund balance that we'll probably be pulling on to cover the lean year coming up here next year and probably the year after as well. So I'm proud that we've got that fund balance of what we do. As we mentioned before, we'll probably need to call upon that.
That's what Bashir said this evening.
Yeah.
It was going to be rough.
Yeah, that, like I told you all, this coming up year, I'm glad we've got that because we'll have that to cover. But I'm worried more so about the 21-22 school year.
Yeah.
If there are no changes or amendments, I recommend approval of the consent agenda items.
Okay, motion.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda items.
I'll second it.
Vote.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazook,
Yes.
and Ms. Wicker.
Yes. Next, are the pay dates.
We do this every year prior to the end of the fiscal year, starting for the next and this is for fiscal year 21 pay dates. So it's necessary for the board to set pay dates for fiscal year 21. You have a list of those, and I recommend approval of the fiscal year 21 pay dates as presented.
Any comments?
Ain't that pretty well basically the same as it was like this time?
It is. Sometimes the only one that kind of gets pushed off a little bit more is that January 1 date, depending on how it falls. And so this year it will be a little bit later on January the 4th. But oftentimes the way the banks process them, it's in the bank account before that date, around that holiday. But it's very similar. And we always follow the protocol. If it falls on a Saturday, you get paid on a Friday. If it falls on a Sunday, you get paid on the Monday or extended due to holiday. But you're right, Mr. Murray. It's typically the same format that we follow.
I thought that was it.
Yeah.
Do we need a motion?
Make a motion to accept the paydays, dates as presented.
I'll second it.
Vote.
Okay, Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazook,
Yes.
and Ms. Wicker.
Yes. Next is 2021 principals combined budgets.
Each year, the school principals, and you all see these each year, are required to submit their school's budget. A copy has been attached for your review. I recommend approval of the 2020-2021 principals combined budgets for each school. And you've seen each one of those outlined that's been signed off by the bookkeeper at each school.
Yeah. We ready for motion?
Yes.
I make a motion, we approve the budgets for the principals for each school.
I'll second.
All right, vote.
Is that Mr. Kazook? Okay. Okay, Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazook,
Yes.
and Ms. Wicker.
Or,
Yes. Where are we? Fidelity
Right.
performance bonds of treasurer.
Our June board meetings are a lot of our routine stuff that we take care of every year, and this is another one of those. The performance bonds of the treasurer per KRS 160.560 and 702 KAR 3:080. It's the duty of each local board of education to bond its treasurer and any other school employee who's responsible for Board of Education funds. Bonds are attached for your review. I recommend approval of the performance bonds for the 2020-2021 school year. I don't know if I'm ever going to get used to saying that, 2020-2021.
Mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
I make a motion to approve performance bonds for the 2021 school year.
That rolls off the tongue of a speech pathologist.
No, it doesn't either.
I'll second.
Miss Brenda, second.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Miss Wilson,
Yes.
Miss Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazook,
Yes.
and Miss Wicker.
Yes. Next is renewal for property, general liability, and fleet insurance.
So this covers all that Miss Wicker just said. This is our catch-all insurance separate from our workers' comp. Our property, general liability, and fleet insurance that covers our buses. As I think I shared with you all last time, or I sent you all the email of the savings we were going to get retroactive to April the 30th, because from where we've parked our buses and they've not been driven. So we're getting back a little bit of money on our current premium for our fleet insurance. But our current insurance for property, general liability, and fleet, it expires June 30th, 2020. $115,847 is the first installment, and the remaining half is paid January 2021. So I recommend that the Russell County Board of Education renew our policy with Liberty Mutual from McKinney and Blair and Grider Insurance Agency for the property, liability, and fleet coverage for the 2020-2021 school year.
Joy, you're gonna have to work with him.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Reduce it down.
Okay, we need.
Let me just talk a little bit about this again. This, you know, I think it was back in November 18, we looked that up where we extended our coverage on our buses. Prior to that time, we wasn't full coverage. And so this includes the full coverage on our buses. So, you know, worst case scenario, if one bus catches on fire out there at the bus garage, you know, they're probably all going to catch on fire, unfortunately. So it was a wise investment when we voted, the board, you all voted to approve that. And it also includes the some money for a data compromise coverage, identity, you know, if we were to have a system breach, that type of thing. And also the violent event response coverage. Lord forbid, if we were to have some type of tragic event happen at our schools, there's additional coverage included in this policy for that. So in this day and time, I think it's just just good practice to include those.
Okay, we need a motion.
I'll make a
I'll make
motion that, all these numbers for the insurance renewals, for the comp and liability, well, we got full coverage now as presented.
I'll second it.
Okay, vote.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazook,
Yes.
and Ms. Wicker.
Yes. Amendment to the 2021 school calendar.
Ms. Dameron, feel free to chime in after I go through the introduction of it. So you all know that the board previously approved a school calendar with the start of August the 18th. It was on a Tuesday for students. There's a lot of uncertainty still going on, and there's been the option for a couple of years now, what's called the variable student instructional year, to where school districts are still bound by the 1,062 hours if they start closest to the Monday of August the 26th, but they're not bound by the 170 instructional days. So due to the COVID, I've got a typo there. It's got COVID-10 instead of 19.
Yeah.
The pandemic, that's my fault. Pandemic and uncertainty surrounding the 2020-21 school year, I recommend that the Russell County Board of Education amend the previously approved school year 2020-21 school calendar and implement the variable student instructional year pursuant to KRS 158.070. So that's what we refer to going back to when we develop our calendar. That includes everything from this provision to the calendar committee and a lot of things in between that. With the implementation of the variable student instructional year, a district is held to the 1,062 instructional hours, but not the 170 instructional days. This calendar that we're proposing this evening will provide 164 student instructional days, with our first instructional day starting August the 26th instead of August the 18th. And this schedule and calendar and KRS that I referenced 158.070 is attached for your review. And it still meets all the compliance of all the statutes and regs as the previously approved calendar. It just gives us a little more flexibility if things, I hope we start back in August and we have a great normal school year. But the reality is it's likely that we don't have as normal school year as we like. But this will give us a little bit more flexibility, and it will allow us to start just a little bit later and still doesn't extend any of the employees' days or anything like that. Ms. Dameron, do you have anything to add on that?
Mr. Ford?
Can you hear me right now?
Okay, there she goes.
So you're on here twice.
Well, my laptop completely glitched and I've had to, so now I'm on my phone and I'm walking to a different room because it won't even shut down at this point.
Okay.
But no, everything you've said is correct.
The lieutenant governor was just on TV and she talked about the committee they had trying to make decisions, but she really didn't say anything other than, you know.
I thought that it was interesting that Governor Beshear said there will be some things that will be requirements, and then there will be some things that will be highly recommended or something to that effect that he said. And the more recommendations that we implement will be, the safer that our students and faculty and staff are. So right now, and I sent out an email last night, and I sent that to you all, to faculty and staff, of noting that we've not developed a reentry plan because we're still waiting for and we're working on ideas of how we're going to implement, but as far as putting it all in paper saying this is what we're going to do, we've not done that yet because we're waiting for this next piece of guidance from the Kentucky Department of Public Health that's supposed to be specific to schools. And also what the governor said this evening about some things that will be requirements, we need to know that before we can firm up a plan and what that plan looks like. And so we're not going to be doing that in isolation. We'll have certainly central office administrators and principals. Going to have teacher representation off of site base. I'm going to take some teachers off of site base and some classified staff. So that will be a working group that will work on that our plan when we rolled it out. But I think this calendar will give us a little bit more flexibility going into the unknown times that we're experiencing.
Okay, we need a motion to accept that change of date.
I'll make the motion that we approve the amendment to the 2020-2021 school year calendar.
I'll say,
Okay, vote.
Ms. Brenda, second? You second, Ms. Brenda?
Vote.
yes,
Okay, I'm sorry. Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
yes,
Mr. Kazook,
Yes.
and Ms. Wicker.
Yes. Okay, contracts, moratorium of agreement. Do I need your help? Of agreement
Memorandum.
approval.
So the following contracts, memorandums of agreements are attached for your review. Again, in June, we have a lot of routine business, and this is the Lake Cumberland Community Action Agency Incorporated, which is the Head Start program. In this particular instance, special education services. We provide the special education services for Head Start. It's a separate program, but we're obligated to provide the special education services. Our Reed Braille Company for the Vision Itinerant Services contract. That's the teacher of visually impaired students that work with our staff and our visually impaired students. Our energy manager contract or memorandum of agreement with Mr. Scott Caslow, and then our COPS grant with the Russell County Sheriff's Department. So those are all attached, and not that I don't think there's a need for it there, but I just want to remind you all, anytime you can always pull something out that's in as a group, you know, if you need to address something separate or anything. But that's the memorandums of agreement and contracts. And I know Mr. Hoover has reviewed, and Mr. Hoover, you don't have any concerns with any of the COPS grant or anything we previously talked about. So
yeah, I have no concerns. And you might want to mention, Mr. Ford, about our meeting this morning, and there will be another memorandum of understanding at the meeting later this month for current school resource officers.
okay, yes, thank you, Mr. Hoover. I will mention that. So this morning, Mr. Hoover, myself, Sheriff Poston, Toby Young, that is with the School Security Marshal's Office, and Jackie Grider and Troy Young, and Susan Melton was there as well. We all met this morning at Jamestown because we need to firm up an agreement with the Sheriff's Office for our current school resource officers with that work under the direction and sworn deputies with the Russell County Sheriff's Office. And so what Mr. Hoover is alluding to, of course, Jackie and Troy are paid through the Russell County Board of Education, have arrest powers under the Sheriff's Office, and that this other memorandum agreement that Mr. Hoover is referencing will be before you all for approval at the June 30th board meeting. And it doesn't change any current practice. It just solidifies and puts in writing. It's a good way to say it, isn't it, Mr. Hoover, of what current practice is, of what we're doing right now.
Yeah, we just have to have a memorandum of understanding in place because of Senate Bill 1 and Senate Bill 8. The sheriff has been very gracious in allowing us to continue the situation as it is. We just need to put that in writing and get the state to sign off on it. Everybody had an agreement this morning, so we'll present that at the June 30th meeting.
Anybody have any questions or comments regarding these MOAs or contracts? And I'll say the same thing regarding Mr. Caslow that I do every year. In addition to completing the energy audit report that's required by the state for us, there's not a doubt in my mind what he does for energy savings for Russell County certainly pays what little bit our portion is with him. So we're still partnering with Science Hill Independent, Somerset Independent, and Wayne County Schools and us. And Ms. Carnes, we're the fiscal agent with that, but Ms. Carnes bills those other 3 school districts, and it's never been an issue of them getting their portion of the money back for that. And it didn't change. And also, I had myself a note. You will note that we're still using last year's 18-19 ADA because the State Department gave us the option to use 1819 for our own SEEK formula, thankfully, versus using 1920 because the 1920 school year, as you all know, was a little bit crazy. And our attendance was not as good, even if it had been. It's a little bit off than it was compared to 1819 anyway. So that's why this MOA references the ADA from the 1819 school year. So actually, except for the July 1st through the June 30th of 2021, this MOA, the same amounts that Mr. Caslow has been paid, is exactly the same that it was last year.
I make a motion to approve the contract of memorandums of agreements that's been approved by the school, by the attorney.
I'll second it.
Go ahead, Brenda.
Brenda?
Vote.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazook,
Yes.
and Ms. Wicker.
Yes.
And Sheriff, we'll get that signed and get I guess send a copy to you and Susan.
That'll be fine. And thank you all very much. And like I said, also a special thank you to Jamie Comer and Senator Mitch McConnell on this grant agreement. If you all happen to see them out one of these days.
Okay. Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
Okay, Russell Springs Elementary fundraiser.
The Russell Springs Elementary has received approval from the superintendent for the listed fundraiser. The once a month for school year 2021, it's the Kona Ice, and everybody's getting really familiar with Kona Ice in Russell County. So I recommend approval of the school-wide fundraisers.
Well, you can't get it. It's lined up everywhere. I haven't even got one yet.
Pretty good stuff. Sometimes when they used to be at Jamestown, they'd come over here and give us one.
I mean, they were lined from in front of the garden center to the main road.
I will clarify something. The only time a board has to, by policy, approves a fundraiser is if it's school-wide, meaning that it's implications for all school district, for all students at that particular school. So if you see an entity, an individual club doing something that's going to just benefit their club, let's say FFA, for example, if they're doing a fundraiser, that has to be approved at the school level, but it does not come to the board. And I had that question recently, so I just want to clarify that again. I know you all know that, but other people watching or something may not.
I'll make a motion. We approve the Russell Springs Elementary fundraiser.
I'll second it.
A vote.
Mr. Murray,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Higginbotham,
Yes.
Mr. Kazook,
Yes.
and Ms. Wicker.
Yes.
First reading.
Okay, Cindy, here's yours.
And this is the first reading, so it doesn't require a motion to approval. We'll have it again on the June 30th meeting, and I will pass it to you, Ms. Dameron.
Okay. So this year, our policy updates, you probably noticed it was much shorter, the actual document. Much of what is here kind of has cleared up basically a few loose ends from the last year. So really, it's just kind of tweaking it a little bit. So for example, there are policies in there that talk about your training requirements as board members. And obviously, you were probably really glad to see that, like the authorizing charter schools training is only becomes necessary when someone actually applies for a charter school. There was some clarifications with some of the policies regarding SROs, like the ability to carry guns, who can be the safe school coordinator, the source of the active shooter training. There were some clarifications on student fees and Red Book regulations. There is a policy now that allows us to use the Federal Motor Carrier Clearinghouse to process checks on bus drivers. And there was a slight change in language to some of the policies that dealt with child abuse and reporting guidelines, those kind of things. And those were all just really just legal changes. There are 2 district initiated policies in there. The first set, the big set, as you know, always comes from the Kentucky School Board Association after the legislative session, trying to make sure that our policies are in line with whatever the laws are. There are the 2 district initiated policy updates. One has to do with expense reimbursement, and it's just adding a little bit of language. You can see it in the blue, that goes right along with what the IRS regulations are. But it just clarifies a little bit more when people are doing their travel reimbursements, what they can use and what they can't. In this case, that mileage can't be reimbursed between like a hotel and a restaurant or a shopping center or something like that. And that you can't do mileage from home to your workstation. I mean, we all just have to get in the car and drive there every day. And then that policy, of course, covers classified staff in one policy and certified staff in the other, but it's the exact same thing. And then the second one we've talked about for several months, and I'm really excited about this, that we got it cleared up. It's the holiday policy. And so it was just basically 2 sentences. And now, based on what you all talked about in the past, we're going to add the part about that certified and classified, because it's 2 different policies, will receive 4 paid holidays, one of which will be Veterans Day. So that will be spelled out, and we won't have to go back and revisit that. And then the school calendar committee can just go ahead and pick the other 3. It also adds the language that we've already been in practice of doing anyway. 12-month employees or 240-day people actually get 2 additional days, Memorial Day and July 4th. And that went ahead and cleaned that up in policy as well, just so that we had it official. I think that's really it, unless you have questions. Because again, most of what came from KSBA was just cleaning some stuff up.
So we had attempted, I was wrong on this, to include the veterans holiday on like the calendar policy. And KSBA said, no, that's not, actually, they didn't even know if it was actually even legal to note it there. They said, you can put it here on the holidays. And then like Ms. Dameron said, this discussion is off the table for the calendar committee because it's in policy. That Veterans Day is a holiday for us. And as Ms. Dameron noted, you all had said that let's look at putting that in policy, so that could be an issue again.
Yes. And it makes sense, because if you think about it, students don't get paid for holidays. They're just not in school. So it goes where the staff part is, because we get paid for holidays. So that'll take care of that. And of course, it'll automatically be in the school calendar.
And just because we're going to specify that Veterans Day is one of the holidays, and then there's 3 other holidays. So if we let's say Veterans Day, New Year's Day, Christmas, and Thanksgiving, just for example. Well, there's other holidays that we're not in school during that day. Typically, I said Christmas Day, but typically Christmas Day is not a paid holiday for anybody. Yeah. It's a day that we're off school, but it's not a paid holiday. So there's a big difference of being off school a day and certified and classified staff being paid for that particular day. And so that's why it's important to note the holidays. 4 for most people, 6 for 240-day folks. There's a big difference between what's designated as a paid holiday and you're just off work day.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense. So again, there's no vote, and things, if anybody has any question or concern, but this, as Ms. Dameron said, it is pretty cut and dry this year when it comes to policy updates.
Yes.
For you all to review.
And when you're retired, you get no holidays. So
they're all holidays. Every day's a holiday, Miss Sheila.
That's true.
Let's see, they're holidays of retired people. I know Mr. Kazook's been in the hayfield. Mr. Murray said he's in the chainsaw when he leaves the board meeting tonight. So those can be good therapeutic holidays, though, can't they?
Okay, we'll move on down to the superintendent's where I lost superintendent evaluation information.
So at the June 30th, these are the blank forms that you all are provided with every year to review between now and our June 30th board meeting, to where you all will go into executive session, talk about me all you want, and then at some point you typically call me in and make me run over the coals and all that good stuff, and then fill out the official paperwork that becomes part of the public record, and Mrs. Wicker will announce the results of that evaluation, and she and I sign off on that. So this is always just the blank copies that we give you all to be thinking about between now and June 30th school board meeting, to where no action on any of that tonight either.
Okay, next is the public comment.
I'm not showing anything, Mrs. Wicker, on the YouTube chat, and the phone isn't ringing. We might want to wait just a minute or two if anybody has anything. Are you on the YouTube channel as well, Miss Carol?
Oh, sorry, I was just watching the phones,
Okay.
but I can get on there real quick.
I'll look on the chat on the YouTube here too, but I don't see anything.
Okay. I'm on there right now and I don't see anything.
Okay. And the phones aren't ringing
No.
either, Miss Wicker.
Okay,
So right now,
I
I don't see anything.
there's not been any updates on the,
No, either, Miss Wicker.
has there been any updates on the Chromebooks for the kids?
They're ordered.
They are ordered.
Yeah,
Okay.
we may have got them. I think Mr. Bell got them ordered the very next day, if I'm not mistaken. Or
Very-
maybe that afternoon, actually, after you all approved that.
There's going to be a lot of work to do with them.
I think we'll all probably be charged with getting those and helping to get them updated as soon as we get them. Yeah, we can all, just take a pile of them and go.
Sounds great.
Yeah,
Okay, personnel reports.
Just call me if you need any help.
absolutely, and you're close. That's not me laughing, Miss Brenda. I think that was Mr. Kazook or Mr. Murray or some of them.
Yeah,
She
I hear you.
She
You know
bosses really
evaluation's
well.
coming up. You know evaluation's coming up. You better watch.
So personnel reports, Miss Jeannie Hart, retired effective June 1st, 2020. Mr. Stephen Betts, retired Russell County High School JV soccer coach, and Christy Chapman resigned, Russell County High School JV women's soccer coach. Both of those folks resigned as the JV coaches because, as you all know, the board approved the start of the varsity soccer program, and they were both selected to run the varsity soccer programs.
So we're not going to have a JV?
Yeah, it's posted. We just don't have the people in there with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Miss Stephanie Overby, Jamestown Elementary School librarian. Amber Humble for Salem Elementary School teacher. Karen Hoover, Russell Springs Elementary School preschool teacher. Cheryl Newby, Russell County Middle School 6th grade girls basketball coach. Stephen Betts, Russell County High School head boys soccer coach. Christy Chapman, Russell County High School head girls soccer coach. Brandon Rager, Russell County High School assistant football coach, and Clay Chasman, Russell County High School assistant football coach. Dustin Gossage, Russell County High School custodian, and Marcy Ryan as the district elementary itinerant position. That's the position that we changed. It was Arts and Humanities, and we gave a little bit of flexibility to the elementary principals on what they wanted to do with that position.
She'll do a great job.
She will. Yep.
Is there a possibility we'll have to have more people for cleaning and all once we start school?
Yeah, there's a potential that we will, depends on what we're going to have to shuffle and what's going to be expected to happen in the classrooms in between the switching. It's probably going to help a lot that we was talking about this the other day, that elementary and middle students will stay in the one room. As of now is probably what's going to happen. So that's going to limit their interaction throughout the building, but it is, and that's one pot of money that may have to come from the CARES Act funds. Yeah, and there's also, of course, it's going to have to happen additional cleaning and sanitizing during the school day, right? Because people are there, and then in the afternoon we want to, give it a little bit extra attention as well. So we'll see how all the guidance comes out and what the expectation is, what that's going to look like. Yep.
Tune in later. Brenda, I guess it's you're up.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
All right.
All in favor?
Yes.
One.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you.
It's been a good day.
See ya.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Everyone have a great day.